Welcome back to In Focus with Bokra. Before the break, Mr. Aaron Nyelesi, Director Broadcasting and Corporate Communications from Bokra, was telling us the list of contributors towards the UASF, or the Universal Access and Service Fund. But now we want to get deeper into the issues and understand the projects that have been carried out by the fund so far, as well as the impact that these projects have actually had in the country. Mr. Nyelesi, kindly just brief us on what the fund has done so far, the role and the existing projects or the projects that have been carried out by the fund.
Thank you. Like I said, the fund dates back to April of 2014. Immediately after its establishment, it then came up with a strategic plan that covered 2014 to 2019. That strategic plan then yielded in a number of projects. This first targeted the western part of the country, which is where this fund assessed that there was much need for communication services. And this covered the area of Khansi district, it covered Kgalagadi district, and it covered some parts of the Ngwaketsi district, as in a place called Mabutsane sub-district. From these places, the fund targeted primary schools. First of all, the fund targeted upgrading of all mobile networks to a higher capacity performance. Typically in the rural areas, your mobile networks would be running generally on 2G or second generation mobile technology, sometimes third generation mobile technology. So what the fund then did was first to ensure that all the networks in Khansi, Mabutsane and Kgalagadi sub-Kgalagadi district, as I've said, are actually running on high capacity technology, which is either 3G or 4G. So it facilitated upgrading of all those networks, after which it then connected all primary schools in the area. A total of 68 primary schools in Khansi, Kgalagadi and Mabutsane sub-district were all connected to internet, 5 megabits per second internet lines. And then every primary school was given educational tablets. A minimum of 50 tablets per school was given. And in addition, the fund engaged the services of IT officers, graduate IT officers, to facilitate the use of the IT equipment that was put in those schools. The IT officers were employed and a resident in every school in those areas for a period of 3 years. Their role is to facilitate, as I said, the use of this ICT equipment. First, they teach the teachers how to use the ICT equipment. Then they teach the kids in those areas and introduce them to ICTs. They even work sometimes outside of normal school working hours to assist communities in those areas with little projects like maybe how to put in your leads, as they call them, your kettle branding thing on the computer. So those are the projects that actually the fund started with. For Mabutsane, Khansi and Kgalagadi sub-district were 68 primary. In fact, a total of 77 schools benefited. 68 were primary schools. 9 were secondary schools, but secondary schools already had ICT equipment. So what the fund tended to do was just to augment the little that they already have. That is the first projects that we had in the country. But the fund continues, if I'm allowed to. The fund continues. Currently, if we are talking 2021, we are now in the Kwenen district, where we are repeating exactly what we did in Khansi, Kgalagadi and Mabutsane sub-district. This time we are targeting upgrade of all mobile networks in the Kwenen district. We are then targeting internet connectivity to all schools, and this is a total of 117 schools. We will also be employing IT officers to service that equipment. We are not stopping in the Kwenen district. We are at the same time, in the coming year, we'll be running, in fact they have already started, We are addressing Northwest District as well as Southern District, doing exactly the same thing, connecting all primary schools and then upgrading all networks in the areas. Those are the projects that the fund has been engaged in so far. It's not only those. If I may add, people may recall in Gaborone mobile, what do you call them, Wi-Fi hotspots. The Wi-Fi hotspots that you find in the shopping complexes and other public areas in Gaborone, including your Princess Marina hospitals, have been facilitated by the fund. They were actually installed or implemented by Bofinet through funding from the fund, and they are actually available to other licensees on an open access basis, where everybody can tag on to that line and then provide a service. Similarly, the fund actually upgraded the network along the Trans-Kalahari Highway, all the way from Joanne to Charles Hill. What happened is there used to be gaps along that route, and this is a major economic route, and trucks that use the route used to complain that the gaps are too much for you to get the next connectivity. So the fund has actually augmented that, and now there is almost seamless connectivity along the Trans-Kalahari. We have also assisted a government farm called the Lubu Farm. This is a farm for small stock that the fund has also assisted with internet connectivity. So there are several projects like that that are meant to ensure that the whole country has access to ICTs, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Mnyelesi. That was quite informative. And before we go for the break, I want us to maybe look at not only I can tell that from what you're saying, the fund has first created employment. The fund has also provided internet access, is providing internet access to people across the country who haven't had that access. So after the break, I really now want us to also look at other sectors like broadcasting and postal, which are also mandated to be regulated by BOCRA, and since we listed them as some of the contributors. But now I want us to maybe advise us, in addition to the creation of jobs that is realized through the fund and providing access, have you realized any other benefit, economic activity-wise, or maybe since you're connecting these schools that you're talking about, the 78 schools that you're talking about, has there been any benefit that you've noticed as the Secretariat to the fund that you can maybe share with us?
Yes, indeed. There are benefits that we are getting from the benefactors of these projects. As I've said, now people in the rural areas, primary school kids in the rural areas, to start with, a lot of them now are comfortable with ICTs. They can actually operate a tablet, albeit at a limited scale, but now it is not as strange as when it was first introduced to them. In fact, we are told by teachers and ICT officers in that area that the kids are actually looking forward to lessons on the use of computers. They're actually excited about it. We are also told by the school authorities in those areas that they are noticing improvement in the school results, examination results, and they are attributing this to ICTs. We have seen, like, IT officers have engaged other IT officers across those regions, and they are now doing quizzes. They can do quizzes online where schools are challenging each other as a form of practice for examinations. In fact, we have submitted some of these projects to the International Telecommunication Union as evidence that ICTs have reached rural communities in Botswana, and they have in fact been voted as the best projects in Africa. They've earned the fund as well as BOCRA some accolades previously. So we are seeing that impact. Like I've said, even some farmers will tell you that they have been assisted by the IT officers in terms of putting in cattle details into their computers and related issues.
Let's grab a glass of water, and coming back, we will be talking about the fund assisting in the broadcasting and postal sector. Thank you, Mr. Mnyelesi.
Thank you.